Tourism in the United States is facing one of its sharpest declines in decades. For years, Canadian travelers were among the most reliable visitors. They came for shopping weekends, family vacations, sports trips, and business conferences. They filled hotels, ate at restaurants, fueled airlines, and supported entire communities along the border. For many U.S. towns, Canadians weren't just guests. They were the backbone of the local economy. But in 2025, everything changed. A mix of politics, economics, and frustration at the border has caused a dramatic downturn. The United States is now experiencing a tourism crisis that few predicted, and the losses are more severe than most imagined. The numbers reveal the scope of the problem. International tourism to the United States as a whole is expected to fall by more than 8% this year. Out of nearly 200 countries, America is the only one forecast to go backwards. And at the center of that decline is Canada. Land crossings, which for decades represented the heart of Canadian travel, are down nearly 30%. Air arrivals, which once filled planes between Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and dozens of American cities, are down more than 13%. Combined, this adds up to millions of lost trips. That's millions of empty hotel rooms, unbooked flights, and canceled dinner reservations. Border towns are the first to feel the pain. Between January and June alone, Canadian land visits dropped by more than 4 million compared to the same period in 2024. To put that in perspective, imagine entire cities vanishing from the tourist map overnight. For decades, Canadians made up nearly half the customers for some small-town gas stations, malls, and diners along the border. Families would cross to shop at outlet centers, fill up on cheaper gas, or attend weekend hockey tournaments. Today, those same parking lots are half empty. Restaurants are reporting record low sales, and duty-free stores, once booming with cross-border traffic, are losing up to 80% of their business. One duty-free shop that used to employ 20 people now has just 3 workers left on the schedule. The downturn doesn't stop at the border. Airlines are cutting back as well. Canadian carriers like Air Canada, WestJet, and Flair have canceled thousands of seats to U.S. cities. Routes that once connected Toronto to places like Cleveland or St. Louis are no longer profitable. American airlines are also pulling back from Canadian airports. This has created a vicious cycle. With fewer flights available, prices go up. The higher prices discourage more Canadians from traveling. And as demand weakens further, airlines cut even more routes. For travelers, the message is clear. It's harder, more expensive, and less appealing to fly to the United States in 2025. Big U.S. cities are feeling the squeeze. Las Vegas, long a favorite for Canadian vacationers, is reporting double-digit declines. Orlando theme parks are welcoming fewer Canadian families. In New York, Broadway ticket sales have dipped. And in Washington, D.C., the situation is even worse. After National Guard troops were deployed in August, many visitors canceled plans, worried about safety or simply turned off by the political atmosphere. Washington has already lost 41 major conferences scheduled for 2026. The projected loss exceeds $50 million, and that's just from canceled events. The ripple effects on hotels, restaurants, taxi services, and tour guides stretch much further. So what caused this sudden downturn? Analysts point to a combination of factors. Political rhetoric from Washington has left many Canadians feeling unwelcome. Stricter border checks mean longer wait times and more frustration. The Canadian dollar has weakened against the U.S. dollar, making vacations across the border more expensive. And new tariffs have fueled resentment, convincing many Canadians to take their business elsewhere. In February, surveys showed that nearly half of Canadians had either canceled U.S. travel plans or were considering canceling U.S. travel plans. On social media, hashtags like Boycott USA gained traction. Canadians shared stories of frustrating border experiences, extra fees, or simply the feeling that they weren't wanted. While not every story reflects the full reality, perception often matters more than fact, and the perception today is overwhelmingly negative. So, where are Canadians traveling instead? The answer is reshaping the tourism map of North America. Mexico is booming. Canadian airlines are adding new flights to Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, and Cabo San Lucas to meet rising demand. Families who once spent spring break in Florida are now choosing all-inclusive resorts further south. Europe is also seeing a surge. With favorable travel deals and strong cultural appeal, destinations like France, Spain, and Portugal are attracting more Canadians, especially younger travelers eager for new experiences. And within Canada itself, the trend is unmistakable. Banff and Jasper in Alberta, the ski slopes of Whistler, and the coastlines of Prince Edward Island are all reporting record-breaking visitor numbers. Canadians are rediscovering their own backyard, spending money that might have once gone south of the border on domestic trips instead. The financial fallout is enormous. Economists predict that the United States could lose nearly $9 billion in tourism revenue from Canadian visitors this year alone. Restaurants are cutting staff, hotels are scaling back operations, airlines are trimming routes. For workers in tourism-dependent areas, that means lost jobs, fewer hours, and shrinking tips. One restaurant manager near the border described the change as devastating. On Friday nights, they once served more than 200 Canadian customers. Now they're lucky to see 50. The staff has been reduced by half, and those still employed are worried about how long the doors can stay open. The tourism crisis is also becoming a political issue. Local leaders in northern states are pressing Washington for solutions. Governors and chambers of commerce are calling for improved border policies, friendlier rhetoric, and incentives to bring Canadians back. Meanwhile, Canadian officials are facing their own domestic pressure. Citizens want to keep money circulating at home. The Buy Canadian movement is gaining momentum, encouraging families to support local businesses instead of crossing south. What began as a simple decline in travel is now shaping the political conversation in both countries. Can the trend be reversed? Some U.S. destinations are trying. Buffalo launched campaigns offering Canadian visitors $500 shopping gift cards. Washington has rolled out marketing campaigns featuring local residents, aiming to rebuild a friendlier image. Las Vegas is investing millions in advertising across Canadian media. But so far, the results are mixed. Many Canadians remain skeptical, cautious, or uninterested. Once travel habits change, they're hard to reverse. After years of regular weekend trips to the United States, Canadians are now building new traditions elsewhere. For the first time in decades, the United States may not be the automatic first choice for Canada's travelers. This crisis is more than numbers. It's about the relationship between neighbors. Canada and the United States have long shared one of the closest partnerships in the world, through trade, culture, family ties, and tourism. For generations, crossing the border was easy, natural, and routine. Now that bond is showing cracks. For the U.S., losing Canadian visitors means losing more than revenue. It means losing trust, goodwill, and a sense of partnership that took decades to build. The big question remains, will Canadians come back in the same numbers? Some experts believe that once political tensions ease and the economy stabilizes, travel patterns will rebound. Others warn that the shift may be permanent, with Canadians redirecting their spending towards Mexico, Europe, or their own country for the foreseeable future. Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The tourism crisis of 2025 is reshaping how Canadians see the United States and how the United States depends on its closest neighbor. What do you think? Is this downturn temporary, or are we witnessing a permanent realignment in North American tourism? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and stay tuned as we continue exploring the stories shaping our world.